If you're completely overwhelmed as to how to achieve lasting weight loss and glowing skin, I've got you covered. It's the S.O.S formula, and it's about to change your life. Hi YouTube, I'm Erin, a health empowerment strategist and private chef, and in my days of private chefing, I used to have to create meals that were really mindful of fat and calories. I had to get really creative with how I maintained and enhanced flavors, but being mindful of salt, oil, and sugar. Today, we're going to talk about the S.O.S formula, which stands for salt, oil, and sugar. I'm going to share the precise ways as to how these ingredients are potentially sabotaging your weight loss efforts, and the fantastic alternatives I recommend to keep your meals tasting sensational. Stay tuned. Let's talk about salt. It's recommended that we each get about 1,500 to 2,300 milligrams of salt each day. However, the average American is getting upwards of 3,000 milligrams of salt, and that's a lot of salt because the more salt you consume, the more water, up to 1.5 liters, your body will hold on to try to buffer that salt and flush it out. Now, don't get me wrong, we need salt. We need salt for vital functions in the body, but too much salt can lead to high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. So what are some alternatives? I really love this sprinkle seasoning by the brand Bragg's. It has 24 herbs and spices, no salt. It's one of the most flavorful spice blends I've ever used. In fact, every time that I use it, my boyfriend always says, "It smells like Thanksgiving in here," and it tastes phenomenal. Using things like fresh herbs, basil, cilantro, you either love it or you hate it, dill, celery is a fantastic vegetable to use. It is inherently a little higher in sodium. Balsamic vinegar, if you get a good enough tasting balsamic vinegar, it can stand on its own. It doesn't even need oil or garlic, salt, onion powder. Doesn't even need it. If you're interested in any of these products that I'm talking about, whether you've heard of them or not, I actually created a guide. It's called Your Sexy Silhouette, the Empower Woman's Guide to Plant-Based Weight Loss, and it talks about 7 different ways that you may be aware or unaware of why you're unable to lose weight. And I list a bunch of products in there that will help facilitate your efforts and weight loss journey. So I will link that below in the show notes for you. Let's talk about oil. 1 tablespoon of oil has approximately 120 calories, and typically when you cook with oil, it's very easy to just pour 3, sometimes even 4 tablespoons on maybe a sheet pan of vegetables you're about to roast in the oven, or even just a salad. It's so easy to just pour it on. And I don't know about you, I prefer to actually eat my calories rather than drink them in a smoothie, although I love smoothies, or waste it in just a bunch of oil when I could simply make a salad dressing that's full of flavor, and I don't even need the oil, and I can get my calories through the food instead. And when you eat that much oil, you could easily be eating in excess of 300 to 400 calories a day. That's a lot of calories that will definitely add up. So what are some alternatives? Well, a lot of people think that you can only saute vegetables in oil. That's not true. A fantastic alternative is sauteing or even steaming by using a little bit of vegetable broth. If you take a big saute pan or a wok or even a saucepan and you just put 1/4 to 1/2 cup of vegetable broth in the bottom and put your vegetables on top and put a lid on there with a low heat, your vegetables will steam just fine without oil. You could even use water, and if you wanted to enhance the flavor of the water or the broth, you could put in a couple of cloves of garlic. You could sprinkle that Bragg's 24 herb seasoning I was talking about previously. You could do a lot. You could add a bay leaf, whatever kind of spices you wanted to add to impart a beautiful flavoring into your vegetables. If you're going to eat fat, focus on whole food sources such as avocado, nuts, and seeds. Yes, they're still high in fat like oil, but there's all sorts of vitamins, minerals attached to that fat, so you're getting much more bang for your buck. And there's fiber in the avocado and the nuts and seeds, so you're going to get fuller faster. What does that mean? It's like a signal saying, oh, I can't eat as much. But when you just pour on oil, it's so easy to consume too much before you get full. Let's talk about sugar. White table sugar. Sugar can be extremely inflammatory for the body, and inflammation can directly or indirectly affect the radiance of your skin, that inner glow that we're all seeking. What are some alternatives to sugar? Well, my go-to is fruit. Now, a lot of people say, well, fruit isn't sweet enough, and I get that. When you're used to fake processed sugar, fruit isn't going to taste sweet enough to you at first. Dried fruit. Now, that's not something that you want to overindulge in because it's more calorie dense for sure, but some of my favorite dried fruit are dates. I love dried figs. That's probably my most favorite dried fruit. I love dried apricots, and you can really enhance a lot of dishes with dried fruit. You could add them to salads, you could add them to oatmeal, you could make your own trail mix. A couple of dried fruit toppings that I like to use are goji berries and dried mulberries. And goji berries are actually very high in protein considering they're a dried fruit. About a quarter cup of goji berries has 4 grams of protein, which is a lot for dried fruit, and it has all the essential amino acids. Goji berries are considered a superfood. They're really good for your eye health. And dried mulberries, oh my goodness, if you've never had dried mulberries, they're absolutely delicious. Okay, so what are some key takeaways of this video? When you are trying to remove salt, oil, and sugar, it can almost feel like a death, taking away those really addictive food enhancements. And I certainly don't advocate for going cold turkey and just putting on the brakes and removing everything overnight, unless you are really hardcore like myself, or you're really resolute in saying, I don't want to feel like crap anymore and I will do whatever it takes, and if that means removing all of these overnight, then so be it. But this is why I try to provide as many alternatives as possible, really great tasting alternatives. And I think one of the best places to start is by adding in some fresh, juicy, ripe fruit daily to whatever you're already eating. So if you eat oatmeal for breakfast, eat the fruit before the oatmeal or add it alongside your oatmeal. If you typically have a sandwich or a soup or a salad for lunch, eat a bowl of fruit before your salad or alongside with it. Costco has some amazing frozen fruit. I particularly love their frozen blueberries. They actually taste like blueberries. I've tried numerous brands of frozen blueberries, and consistently Costco's frozen organic blueberries, they taste like they were just picked. And I love their frozen mangoes, some of the best frozen mangoes I've ever had, and their frozen cherries. And sometimes I'll just make a bowl of all those 3, and I'll just leave it at room temperature, let it defrost, and just eat that for a snack. Let me know what your tips and tricks are. Maybe you've been on this journey for a while and you've come up with some really creative ideas as to how to replace the salt, oil, and sugar. I'd love to hear them. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.